Ho, 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 it's Friday, day number 173 of At Home Fitness with Coach A, the YouTube channel that aims to bring you guys in-gym quality and coaching at home or for your garage gym needs. Without further ado, it is Friday, September 4th, and we are looking at kind of something similar to yesterday, with a little bit more movement and a little less running. Probably for some of us going to be in about the same time frame. Others of us are going to be able to do this much, much faster than yesterday. Keep in mind, that's not a bad thing. You know what's coming tomorrow, that super sucky Saturday workout that tends to be the CrossFit Hero WOD. So today's work is going to be for time. You're going to start with 50 ball slams of the 30, 20-pound variety, if we have that. If not, whatever ball we have, obviously. If you don't know what the ball slam is, stick around and head out to the garage gym and demonstrate. Once you complete the 50 ball slams, you then have 3 rounds of 20 deadlifts at 135.95. In a perfect world, you guys are getting pretty close, if not doing these sets of 20 unbroken. So that 130.95 should be pretty light. Like, as in, if we were going to deadlift heavy with the barbell, like work up to heavy 2, 3, 4, 5, something along those lines, that 135.95 might be the first weight you guys put on the bar. Okay? So I don't want you to be so light and so fast you're flying all over the place in crap position because you can't feel it on your hamstrings. But at the same time, this should really be an endurance set of 20, not necessarily like I'm breaking this up 3 or 4 times, okay? The second movement paired with those 20 deadlifts is going to be bodyweight lunges. You are going to step, you can walk. I'd rather see you guys going not reverse lunge. So step forward, back, you can walk with it. I just don't want you to step back into the lunge here. The rep scheme is going to be 20, 40, 20. So this little piece here of 3 rounds, 20 deadlifts, 20 lunge, 20 deadlifts, 40 lunge, 20 deadlifts, 20 lunge again. 50 ball slams, 3 rounds, 20, 20, 40, 20. And then at the end, you guys are going to finish with 100 total Russian twists. Remember, tap 1, tap 2. Okay, so it's going to be 50 each side. Ideally, that is a ball that is less weight than the ball slam. RX weight for the ball slam, 30-20. RX weight for the twist, 20-14. If you guys only have one ball, that's fine. Keep in mind, for the twist, you could always use a plate if you have a plate that's a little lighter than the ball you have. As I said, stick around. I will demonstrate in the garage, as well as provide some modifications for you guys that don't have all this specific equipment. Alright guys, so let's go through today's one-off 3-piece workout. So remember, the first part we're looking for here involves a ball, preferably a slam ball. I don't have a slam ball, so I have the medicine ball. Technically, I have 2 different weights. I have a 50, a 20 and 14. So in this scenario, because they're both a little bit lighter, I'm probably going to use the 20 for both the ball slams in the beginning and the Russian twist at the end. Theoretically, you could go heavier for the slam, lighter for the twist, or even if you have a 10-pound plate, use the plate for the twist, something along those lines if you want a little bit of discrepancy there. It's not necessarily going to mean much for me because I'm used to slamming something heavier, so I'm just going to roll with the same ball. But to demonstrate, on the slams, we're looking for full extension up overhead, leading with the hips and the core. If you guys have ever done a skierg, this is going to be very similar to slamming the handles down on a skier. When I come down, I'm looking for power, not just the ball returning back up. If you guys have a slam ball, those are kind of one and the same because the ball's not going to hop very high, right? So you're going to have to move with it and get the power on the floor and be able to squat and scoop it up. With a wall ball or a Dynamax ball, medicine ball, something along those lines, you're going to get more hop. So in that case, let's just focus on power into the floor, stop it so it doesn't smack you in the face, and then take it back up overhead and go from there. So the cycle rate's going to be a little slower because you're going to have to slow that ball down as it bounces back up towards you. Now, at the end, after we finish this other piece, I'm going to pop down into my Russian twists, which are going to be butt on the ground, feet off the ground, tap, 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 tap. That would be 4 reps. So every time I tap, that's going to count as a rep. If you're somebody that normally counts 1, 2, then we're just looking at 50 reps here. All right. Now, the piece in between is going to be our 3 rounds of 20 deadlifts, 20, 40, 20 on the lunge step. So with our deadlifts, this is obviously set for a barbell. Modifications I'll go over in a second, but I'm looking ground extension, back to the ground and through. This should pretty much be a tap and go weight. All right, I realize 20 is high reps. 135.95 should be enough to make you guys work hard to complete 20 without stopping. Breathe hard, sweat hard, gets complicated, hamstrings start to burn a little bit, start to doubt whether or not you're going to put that bar down. All right, but it should not be impossible to do your 20 in a row each time, technically. All right, that might require some rest, especially coming back and forth off those lunges, but I don't want to see us with body weight on our deadlifts, all right? Unless your regular deadlift is like 3 or 4 times body weight for a max, in which case, okay, body weight's fine. Now, on those lunge steps, this one I'm looking for either a step forward and back or a walking lunge, okay? Tap the knee all the way up to extension. Now, keep in mind, there's a little bit of a pyramid here. Deadlift 20, lunge 20, deadlift 20, lunge 40, deadlift 20, lunge 20. So the idea is to get you a little stuck on that second round, to have those lunges hurt a little more, to have them take a little bit longer, suck them a little more life out of you, so you really have to work on that next round of deadlifts and then the last round of lunges before we go into those twists, okay? So have a plan for the lunges, or nice, steady, consistent, gut them out. However you want to do it, it's up to you. I want you guys to push as much as you can, power into the floor on the wall balls, or excuse me, the ball slams. I want you to keep ourselves under control in those twists. Remember, if tapping the floor causes us to throw an arch in there, a little bit of overextension, and it hurts the lower back, then all I want is really hip to hip, right? Cross that center of mass, cross over, maybe even get the weight outside of the hip, and return to the other side. It doesn't have to be like a reach and overextension if you lack a little bit of mobility in your lumbar rotation, or even possibly in your shoulders when it comes to going back and forth. So again, to review, we have 50 slams, 3 rounds, 20, 20, 20 on the deadlift, 20, 40, 20 on the lunge, and I should say that's total lunges, so technically if we're looking at each side, it's 10 each, 20 each, 10 each, and then finishing up with our 100 total twists, or as we talked about, 50 over and backs, however you want to judge that. Stick around if you guys want to check out modifications for today's workout.
Stay tuned for movement modifications.
Alright, so we're talking about modifications. For the slam, core, downward force. That's basically what I'm looking for here. If you don't have a ball, a couple of different things you can do. We can do like a tuck crunch. We can do a V-up, something that's contracting, bringing that together. One of the other things you guys can do is possibly take a light dumbbell, or maybe even attach a band, and do a tuck crunch where that weight goes back overhead, extends, touches the ground, and then comes through as the core contracts and the hips come through, okay? It's not gonna look anywhere near the same, but technically we're using a lot of the same muscle groups, creating a lot of the same function there in terms of where our power is gonna go. What else can we do? Technically, if you guys have no other options, but you have a plate ground overhead where we tap that plate on edge, turn it over and punch it to the sky, it's still going to be an extension coming down. Obviously, we're not putting the force into the ground, but it's better than nothing, or better than coming up with something completely different. A ton of mountain climbers, or maybe even bird dog taps, hand to foot, foot to hand. If you're not sure what a bird dog position is, you can be in a plank crossing over, or you can have the knees down and think of it as tap from there. Maybe even throw that extension in which case I would probably suggest evening those out to 50 reps each side, especially if we're not loading them. But if we have issues with weight and mechanics, I want you guys to not err on the side of creating all this resistance power while compensating your mechanics, all right? So the reason why it's a ball slam is because a ball slam is pretty easy to do, and it's pretty easy to direct all our force down.
So I know you're not going to get out of position as much. I know you're not going to have to try and compensate as much. For the twists, I want you guys to try and stay in a twist if you can. You can always take the weight away, move the hands. If there's an issue when it comes to rotating the spine for some reason, it causes us pain, we have an old injury or something that's bugging us, then let's try and go with an anti-rotational movement. So something where you're holding yourself in a plank position and doing shoulder taps where the hips want to kind of roll side to side or back and forth, but we're engaging and fighting against that, okay? Now, when it comes to the pieces in the middle, if you're modifying the deadlift, we're probably looking at equipment that is going to be lighter or unilateral in orientation, meaning one hand, one arm kind of thing. If that's the case, since we're doing a unilateral movement with our lunge steps, let's just make that deadlift a unilateral movement too, as long as we can hold our balance, right? Whether it's, a dumbbell, kettlebells, what have you, however you guys want to hold it. You can think of it more as an RDL if that's going to be the case, because that full range of motion with something that's unilateral is going to be pretty challenging for most people in terms of balance and how to get ourselves under control and braced into position all the way down through. With a band, you guys can still do unilateral work. We can always toss it under the feet, deadlift it, RDL it. We can toss it over the shoulders, good morning it. The idea here is hamstrings and hips. Hit the back side of the hamstrings and hamstrings are the back side. Hit the back side of the hips and thighs, okay? So as long as we have a movement like that, possibly even like a kettlebell swing, although to be honest, I would prefer a heavy Russian or a banded Russian kettlebell swing as opposed to an overhead swing in this scenario. As always, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to help you out. Feel free to reach out if anybody's looking for any personal programming. If you got any injuries, specific strange equipment needs at home, more than happy to help you guys out and give you consistent programming